Hello, this is Brant Ashcroft coming to you from McKinney, Texas. About a year and a half ago or so, 2 years ago, we did some videos when the McKinney Independent School District was going through their COVID protocols and virtual learning and all that kind of stuff. We had gone to the district and asked for some information. I'm kind of a firm believer in actually information and facts and making decisions based on that rather than just emotion and speculation, which seems like how we do things most of the time. But anyway, we got those facts, including enrollment numbers, some testing scores, some issues with behavior things, those kind of stuff. We gathered that information and put some videos out for everybody to take a look at. And so one of the things that's happened recently this last year, it's interesting because it seems like that there's still a lot of issues within the school district. And a lot of that's the aftermath of what happened with COVID. I think there's some behavioral issues with the kids, it feels like. I'm getting emails from principals, and I can tell you every single one of them is a plea for, for support from the parents, better behavior from the kids. I think they're really struggling in the schools, and it's easy to see why with some of the stuff that we did to these kids, during the year and a half of COVID in the schools. Fortunately, Texas kind of came out of it pretty early, but there's a lot of repercussions, a lot of things that have happened that happened then that we're seeing the fruits of now with these kids and their behavior and some of the issues that they're dealing with, depression, just their disdain for authority, and on and on and on. We got to work through all this stuff, to be honest. One thing that's come to light recently, or there's a big discussion about, is all these libraries and these books in the libraries. I'm be honest with you, I cannot for the life of me understand why either side is spending much time on this stuff. It seems like a big waste of time. One side will say something, the other side will, come back in full force and time. And it's just so much effort for such a little, something that's just not that important. I don't really understand why either side is that engaged in this discussion. But anyway, that's just my opinion. So I did want to share some information, though. This is in regards to enrollment for McKinney ISD. And that was something we brought up when they were going through the school bonds. We had mentioned that, why are we spending all this money? And, there was some good reasons, potentially maybe a new school up north where they probably do need a new elementary school. But at the same time, it seems like a weird time to be asking for money, especially considering the fact that the economy, which we're seeing now, this is all predictable, that we're going to have some big issues, and we are clearly having big issues. But enrollment's important because it shows you what you're investing your money in. And here's the enrollment. And one thing I will tell you, this is from the McKinney Independent School District, this information. This is through open records request. We got emails. There was an initial email that was in 2020, and then we got a couple others. This information here is from an email on January 2021, and then April 2022. And it shows you the enrollment numbers for the district. And what you can see here is in 2019, 2020, the enrollment was 24,586. Okay, the COVID year, the year that everybody was under the COVID protocols, the enrollment decreased by about 1,100 kids down to 23,449. Now, the district was expecting that enrollment to go back up, and they budgeted based on that expectation, but that's not happened. This information for the 21-22, and it's not the 21-22 is as of March 25th, so it's not necessarily the end of this first semester, but it's pretty close. It's March 25th. The enrollment is 23,571. So we haven't gotten those 1,100 kids back that left because of COVID. And I'm not going to speculate on those reasons why, because there's probably some different reasons for different people, but we haven't gotten those kids back. So we're missing about 1,000 kids from pre-COVID levels. And this is kind of a big deal. And I think this is something we should actually be talking about because, for one, where did those kids go? What happened to those kids? We've seen recent posts about how, McKinney, has such great education and, from prominent people. And that's why people, move here, and it's, such a great place to live. Well, if that's the case, then why aren't these kids coming back to the school district? These 1,000 kids, what's happened that now they're not interested in public school? The second issue, another issue, is cost. It's kind of we'll call it a hot topic for me right now because I just got my property tax bill today. My property taxes went up about $900 from last year. And, majority of that is the McKinney Independent School District. There's also a chunk for the city of McKinney, for Collin County, and then for Collin College. But most of it, about 2/3 of it, is for the school district. So it's up about $900. And that'll depend on, value of your property. I understand this is property values that's driving this. But my question would be, what are we going to do with that extra money, especially when our enrollment is still down 1,000 kids from a couple of years ago? Why do we need this extra money? And what is the district going to do about that? They need to respond to that increase. Still, they need to kind of look at that and say, well, that's more money than we're going to need. But even an increase at all at this point in time, to me, does not make sense. Why should we be paying any more money this year than we did last year? Maybe a 1 or 2% increase. Maybe you can justify that, but it's even hard to justify that with the fact that you're missing still 1,000 kids from 2 years ago. So just some thoughts. I think, we're getting tied around ourselves and some of these issues that are really, I guess, in my opinion, not gonna go anywhere, when some of the real issues are, what's happened to our kids? Why are we having so many issues in the schools? Behavioral issues, constant, I think the teachers are getting worn down. I think the administrators are getting worn down. That's going to be a huge problem. And then also the cost. Everybody's at this point interested in cost. Everything's more expensive now than it used to be, including my property taxes. And it's hard to justify that, in my opinion, when, again, as I pointed out a number of times, where enrollment did not go back up like the district was expecting.